Everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at October today, do the October month-head forecast. Going to have a look at some of the seasonal models, see what they're showing for October, and then I'm going to attempt to come to a forecast about what may happen in the United Kingdom in terms of weather in October. Before I go on with that, I'll talk about the advertisement green keyword ads on the page at gaswebbiz.com. When you right cursor over green keywords, basically ads. When you click through words, go to advertise website, you support gaswebbiz.com. By doing that, I'm rushing because I've got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to start off with September. The September forecast was for a warmer than average month and a drier than average month. So let's have a look at the central England temperature from Hadley. And this is what it came out as for September, 13.7. That's virtually bang on average, just a 0.1 of a degree above the 61 to 90 average. If you was comparing it against 71 to 2000 or 81 to 2010, more recent, perhaps some would argue more relevant averages, it would actually be colder than average, that central England temperature. So average to cold average, depending on which data set you compare it against, and it has been a drier than average month, so I got that part right. It has been a dry September, but in terms of the temperature forecast, it is wrong. Quite pleased with the overall idea for September, which I said would be a very alternating month where we have big swings in the air masses, big change in air masses. I thought we'd come out a little bit on the warmer than average side with those air masses, but because the middle 2 weeks was so very, very cold, really cold, middle couple of weeks, because of that, we've actually come out more towards the colder side of things, or near normal anyway. So the temperature forecast wasn't right, the rainfall forecast was right, and the overall idea, which was for lots of swings and quite a classic September really in some ways, that was quite good. Now, going on to October, we'll start off with the Japanese, the JMA model. These are 500 millibar heights. That's an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure is developing. The JMA is showing that the British Isles is going to have above average heights for October, and that extends into many parts of Europe as well. So that's going for high pressure to be dominating through the course of the month to come. In terms of the temperature forecast, it's going for near normal temperatures there. That's the British Isles there. Near normal temperatures to slightly above average, perhaps being forecast from the JMA. And in terms of rainfall, it's near normal to slightly drier than average. But really, the main signal there is for high pressure above average heights to be dominating through the course of the month. Have a look at the CFS version 2 model, and again it's the same sort of idea with 700 millibar heights. It's a slightly different area in the atmosphere, but the sort of yellow colours here indicating where we're expecting high pressure above average heights. We've got some in the Atlantic and going out towards Scandinavia as well, and extending to probably extending through the British Isles actually, with that ridge of high pressure somewhere around there. Now I've got a deep trough of low pressure in the east and the southeast of Europe, and that's where the cold air is going through central western parts of Russia into the east and southeast. Looks like it's going to be quite a cold month there, but for us we're under that fairly warm ridge. So the temperature forecast from the CFS model for October is coming out warmer than average for the British Isles, a warmer than average month, colder than average in the east and the southeast, associated with that trough of low pressure. In terms of the precipitation forecast, rainfall forecast for October, it looks as though we're going to have near normal actually rainfall for many parts of the country, maybe a little bit drier than average up to the north, but the main thing here is that we're dry with that area of high pressure over Scandinavia, and we're wet down to the south and over Spain into the Mediterranean. So what's going on is that we've got an area of high pressure up to the north and the northeast, we've got low pressure down to the south and the southwest, and we're bringing in a lot of southerly, southeasterly winds with that. So that's the reason that it's quite a mild month. Because we're not far from a cold pattern really with that. The cold air is all down here in the east and the southeast. We're not far from it, but we're just in a situation where we're bringing up a lot of southerly and southeast winds between the low pressure in the Atlantic and the high pressure up to the north and the northeast. That's why it's more than average, but rainfall is coming out near normal, and we're probably bringing up quite wet weather into the south and west at times, similar to what we've got going on today, to be honest. The west could get it really quite wet with that pattern, whereas the east will probably be a good deal drier, and overall it's seeing near normal rainfall. how this works out, how these anomalies work out in terms of a temperature forecast. This is for Birmingham for October from the website weatherweb.net. We see that we have quite a warm start to October. This is 1st of October just here. This is the 11th of October just here. So the first 10 days of October coming out really quite warm indeed, and I think that's pretty good. We are going to have a warm start. Well, then we get a slide off as we go to around the 10th, 11th, 12th. Then sort of we hover around that sort of 14-15 degree mark, and then another slide as we go through towards, say, the 15th, 16th of October. Becoming quite cold there potentially for a few days around the middle of the month, with temperatures perhaps temperature maximums perhaps staying in single figures. But then we get another pickup as we go through to say the 17th, 18th through to around the 20th, and then from the 21st we slide down again, and then we get another little bit of a pickup as we go through to around the 23rd, 24th. Then we slide down again around the 26th, and that's when we finally settle into autumn then as we go through to the end of the month and into November. There's November the 1st just there. We do then, I think, settle firmly. There's no sign that we really pick it back up then as we go into November, so I think we do firmly, as we get through to the end of October, settle into an autumn pattern. But in between, we're very much up and down. We start warm, then we go much cooler, then we go warmer again, then we go cooler again, then we go warmer again, and then finally we do turn it cooler, and we settle and stay into an autumn pattern. In terms of frost, we could get some frost there around the middle of the month, and then again perhaps as we go through to the end of the month, and then starting off into November as well, but we'll worry about November when we get to it. But the idea there is that we're starting really warm, and then we're sort of alternating before eventually we do settle into autumn very firmly once we get through to the final sort of week or so of October. Beijing Climate Centre next, and we're seeing above average heights. These are 500 millibar heights, above average heights sitting to the north of the country, out in the Atlantic as well, and to the east. We've got the below average heights down in the southwest, in towards Spain and Portugal, and in mid-Atlantic. So the idea again, there's that trough by the way down in the southeast. That's where the cold air is associated with that trough through the east and the southeast of Europe. But the idea again with this is that we're probably bringing up a lot of southerly and southeasterly winds between those different air masses through October. The temperature anomaly for October, this is from the 1st to the 30th, coming out warmer than average. No surprises about that one. And the rainfall forecast actually coming out a bit wetter than average down in the south of the country, drier than average up to the north. We've got high pressure up there, we've got low pressure down here, and maybe the south could be quite wet. But again, the idea is that I think it's similar to today, Matt. We're probably bringing a lot of weather systems through up against that high pressure. So the west could be really quite wet, because have some really wet days. But generally, I think northern east parts of the country in particular will probably be on the dryish sort of side. Have a look at how the temperatures break down over 10-day periods. Quite interesting. This is from the 1st to the 10th, and again we're going to have a warm first 10 days to October. I think that does look pretty good, definitely warmer than average, substantially above average through that period. The next period taking us from the 11th to the 20th of October, again it is warmer than average, less so than the first 10-day period, but even so we're coming out warmer than average. We may be getting alternating air masses through that middle 10 days of the month, as we saw on the CFS model, and then as we get through to the final 10 days of the month, the 21st to the 30th, yeah, look at this, we're going colder than average through many parts of the country and through Central Europe as well. That's probably because a trough of low pressure is forming through central parts of Europe, and we're probably pulling the winds in from more of an east or northeasterly direction then through the final 10 days. Precipitation forecast from the 11th to the 20th shows that we're around normal actually through that 10-day period there through the British Isles and extending into Central Europe, around normal rainfall through the middle 10 days. But look what happens as we get through to the final 10 days, which takes us from the 21st to the 30th. It becomes much wetter across central parts of Europe. That's because a trough of low pressure is forming, I think, through central parts of Europe. There it is, through there and extending in, and that's probably bringing winds in from more of an east to northeasterly direction. That's why it turns colder in the final 10 days. In the final 10 days of October. So I think we've got a basic idea here, which is that we're starting off very warm through the first 10-day period. Then I think through the middle of the month we sort of alternate the air masses. It may turn cold for a while around the 10th to say the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. Then we may pick it up, then we may drop it down, then we may pick it up. And then finally, as we get through to that final sort of 7 days of October, I think we do firmly settle into autumn then. And the temperatures will drop in that 10 days, that final 10 days or week, and they'll stay down. They won't pick up again. They won't alternate and swing back as they do through the rest of October. So it's the final stage of the month, I think, that we're looking for autumn to really set in. But we will have some taste of it through the middle period. Now, averaging all this out, I've got to come up with a precipitation and a temperature forecast for October. I think we're looking probably at a warmer than average month, but it's similar to September in that we're swinging the air masses around quite a lot. In September, the cooler than average air masses probably held sway more than I thought they would. So, bit of a health warning with this, swinging the air masses about. But I think we do come out warmer than average. But if it turns really cold in that final week to 10 days, that could just swing it the other way. But I'm going to say warmer than average. And for precipitation for rainfall, quite hard to decipher about. I think the southwest and the west could be quite wet. We could have some really wet conditions at times as the Atlantic, the trough comes up against the ridge. I think it could be quite wet there. Further east and north, I think probably it's quite a dryish sort of month until we get through to that final stage when if we set up a trough through Central Europe, all areas could turn really, really wet through that final stage of October. So an interesting month coming up, but overall warmer than average and wetter than average perhaps in the west, drier than average though in the east. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.